Hi, everybody. Welcome. This is Beth, and today I have a really special album and two guest artists to share with you. The album we're going to be checking out today is The Silence of Grace, and it's on Spotted Peccary Music. And it is the first collaboration between Deborah Martin and Jill Haley. So you'll recognize Deborah as an award-winning artist who is known for her incredible acoustic and electronic soundscapes. And Jill is known for her incredible English horn and oboe playing, and for visiting and recording as an artist in residence at national parks around the country. So I'm going to welcome them in and see how they are doing. Hello.
Hey.
Hi.
So there's Deborah, and she's here from, Washington. And Jill is joining us from Pennsylvania. Is that right?
That's right. Yep.
Oh, so great to see you both and have you here. It's amazing. What I'd like to do today is show everyone a little bit about the album and then really talk about the creativity behind it and all that you did together to record this music and everything that's imbued in the natural beauty that you've brought into the music and with your respective expertise in the instruments and technology that you use. And let me see if I can share for everybody a little bit of this unboxing video, which I love that Spotted Peccary does that. And they do such a great job of it. We're going to just take a little bit of a look at it here. So as you can see, it is a 6-panel digipack, and it comes with this incredible booklet, 18 pages. You put so much into this, and the artwork is incredible, ladies. First, though, let's talk about how you met and how this project came to be.
So about maybe 3 or 4 years ago, Deborah introduced herself to me at a Zone Music Reporter event in New Orleans. And I knew of Spotted Peccary for sure, but I didn't know Deborah personally in any way. And we actually, I believe, had dinner together and talked about maybe vaguely getting together again sometime in the future. And then she reached out to me about a year or two later. And we actually got together in 2019 to do this recording. And then, and now it's 2021 already. My goodness. Yeah. So that's how it happened.
And we actually met, the first time I met Jill at ZMR, like she said, I did meet her there. I think, Jill, you were actually performing at that particular award ceremony. And that's what got me. I was listening to your playing and it just struck me. And I thought, I have to meet her and I want to talk to her about music. How could we combine what I do with that beautiful tone and sound? You just made it so seamless. I loved it. And yes, we did meet. I got you outside and we actually exchanged addresses and stuff. And I sent you my CDs. You sent me yours and we talked about the national parks. And I think we both had such similar interests. And then we met again the following year at the next ZMR. And then we did have dinner. And then I said, oh, we have to do something together. And eventually, and we talked on the phone. We had several phone calls and stuff back and forth. And when your schedule allowed it and mine was open, it just worked out beautiful. You came and spent a couple weeks and we went on an adventure of exploration, some beautiful, beautiful places in the Pacific Northwest. And the music just came out of that. I think it was just wonderful. You got inspired by the places we went. I was inspired by your inspirations. We were kind of inspiring each other, I think, once we got started, and it was beautiful. It was a truly special time, I think, for that creative process. I really enjoyed it.
It's really amazing how people can come together, at places like ZMR, and it's so important for artists to network and just do those things. Take time to celebrate, but also to meet like-minded artists. And look what's come out of it! This incredible album.
Thank you.
So I heard that the two of you got together, as you said, out in Portland area and Washington State, and spent time together exploring nature. And obviously that's a huge part of this album. And I saw a picture of the two of you wearing these beautiful t-shirts that say peace. I love seeing that together in the studio. And I wondered, what was the story about where you got those t-shirts? You must have been somewhere interesting and fun. So can you tell me about that?
Well, when Jill first arrived, when we agreed we were going to work together, it was pretty exciting in itself, just that. But Jill had wanted to go see different places in nature to gather thoughts and ideas and inspiration. And I thought that was a great idea. So I put together a list of places in the Pacific Northwest that we could go explore. And the first one was the Grotto. It's the national sanctuary of our Sorrowful Mother. And it's a beautiful story with that. It's beautiful. And so the day after she arrived here, that was the first place we went to. And the scenery there is incredible. It's over 75 acres of just serene spaces of gardens and trees and ponds and water. There's a monastery up there at the top of the hill. And they have a gift shop in there. And when we went in, as soon as we walked in, I saw these t-shirts hanging on a rack, and they had just gotten them in. And they were a beautiful shirt that had the word peace across them. And I just thought that was lovely. And it seemed to fit what we were thinking thematically for our project. So I bought the shirts for us, for each to have one. And the next day when we went in the studio to record, Jill was wearing her shirt, so I put mine on, and we wore them that day, and we got pictures of us doing different percussion instruments and things, and Jill's playing her oboe, and Chris took a lot of pictures of us while we were in there working and doing different recordings, trying different acoustic instruments, percussion things. And so it was perfect, because it was meant to happen that way, I think. And it really fits what we did. So it was fun. That was a nice adventure.
Nice. I should point out, Deborah, people think of you as maybe a studio kind of musician to some degree, but you actually travel quite a bit as well, and do acoustic music and drumming and percussion, and collect a lot of beautiful instruments, which I've seen. And I'd like to hear, more of that side of you, if you could tell us about it a little bit.
I've spent all of my growing up life was spent overseas at different places around the world. My music interest started in Germany, where I was going to high school there. And I'm self-taught on guitar. That was my first instrument. And I started playing at various locations there, throughout Germany, at ski resorts and places like that, with a couple of other like-minded folks that actually discovered me singing one day and wanted me to sing with them, and asked my father's permission, because I was only 15 at the time. And he asked me if I wanted to do that, and I said yes. So he wrote permission for me to travel with them to go to these places, and I did that on weekends. I also did a lot of theater arts and acting at that time. I was very, very active during those years. And that was back in the 70s. So I've been doing it a long time. I actually, I was in Munich in 72 when that horrific thing happened. And I was doing some drama performance there. And I actually won a medal for my humorous interpretation at that. And then it was right after that I remember the German soldiers came into the building we were in doing the competition, and took us each away to various locations to get us out of there. Quite interesting. And at that same week, is when I met Elton John. And he had just performed for the first time the song Rocket Man. And I know there's a movie out now called Rocket Man, which is incredible. But I actually met him, talked to him. We were sitting right in front of the stage, our group, and on the floor. And I remember looking up at him, and he jumped down off the stage and hung out with us after. It was great. Wonderful, wonderful times. But I've done performing there. And then when I went back to the States at the end of '73, I was out of high school and I started in Oklahoma, and I did a lot of performing there. I was doing choir directing. I was doing country and western music, and so secular, non-secular music, singing in jazz groups over the years. I ended up on the West Coast in California. I did a lot of work, I guess, going around to convalescent homes and places and singing to seniors. Before music therapy became called music therapy, I was already doing it for years and traveling up and down. And I've been in some rock and roll bands. I've done jazz, blues, country, you name it. Just a lot of live performance and stuff like that. And I didn't start with Spotted Peccary really until about 1990, even though I had met them in 1982 when they were just a group of hippies in Arizona. And just starting to, they were doing the exploration in the electronics and the, all the analog recordings. And that was before it was really a record label. So that was,
Now, I read that, one of the pieces is dedicated to your dear friend Edgar, and that you might be doing something out this summer in honor of him. And the track is called Indian Heaven. The dedication is for Edgar Perry and Elizabeth Perry of the White Mountain Apache. May they rest in this place. There's sort of a meditation on each track, and then each of you write something, from your heart and your intuition about each track. And that's really what, we see in these 18 beautiful pages, which is also coming from your own original artwork, as well as that of Chris, I think. Of course, with Daniel Pipitone's wonderful hand on it as well. But that one, really struck me because I know that your friend Edgar meant so much to you. Do you want to tell us what you might be doing this summer with that?
Yes, I've known Edgar many, many years. He's been instrumental in several of my recordings that are American Indian based. And he shared a lot of the history of his people and of the Apache and all the different relevant other world things. So he passed away last year, and he lost his daughter about 6 weeks before him. And he died of old age. He lived a long life, but he will be missed. He was very, very instrumental in helping shape inspiration on several of my projects. And so the family, they want to honor him and his daughter this year in a celebration at the White Mountain Apache Indian Reservation in northeastern Arizona. And they've invited me to come out there, of course, to help in that honoring. There'll be ceremony, and we will be camped out somewhere on the reservation. I don't have the details yet. But I think it's going to be somewhere in the month of August towards the last couple of weeks. So I will go there, and of course I'll be bringing a lot of supplies and gifts for all of them, and we'll hang out wherever we're at. We'll have tents, and we're going to do things like that the family wants to do, and they'll do ceremony honoring them and his passing and his daughter, and just honoring the family. I've been asked to write a chapter that's going to go in a book that they're doing about his life and times, because he he was a historian, and he did a great many things for the Apache people. And so I got to experience all of that over the years. I've known him for probably 25 years or more. And when I first met him, he knew who I was, and I didn't know him, but he knew of me. And he said we were connected. So it's quite a great relationship. And his whole family kind of adopted me as one of their family. So I will honor that. So we'll go sometime in August and spend some time with the family, and I'll do some
Beautiful.
things. So
Beautiful.
it'll be very nice. But that's what that song is about, energetically. And I know Jill, you're very much in the nature mystic and nature side of things as well. And I knew that you understood that. And the passages you played, beautiful.
Yes, the other track, and I wish we could go into each and every one of these, but we don't have time to do that. But the one that I love the dedication to, this one with the waterfall, and it says fountains. It's the track called Fountains, for all who thirst. And that just spoke to me, because we thirst in so many ways, especially now. And Jill, you wrote, sparkling in the sunlight, liquid energy reaches upward towards the sky. And Deborah wrote, be still, my soul, let the waters nourish and sustain evermore. I mean, you're so poetic, both of you, even with your words. And then you took this and you made it into music. So what will we hear? What will the listener hear in that song? How did that water and that space translate for you?
Well, what I did during the 2 weeks I was with Deborah is we would go out during the day, and then the evening I politely asked her and her husband to understand if I was going to just barricade myself in the studio and start creating some harmonies and melodies. And what I found fascinating about this whole process was where I started, the impetus of the idea in the first recording, very much keyboard, oboe, English horns that I always do, and Deborah morphed it into. She just, a whole metamorphosis. So when I heard the finished product, or as it was getting close to completion, it was amazing to hear how she took the ideas I started with and just kind of created another layers of sounds that I wouldn't even imagine. I think the one thing that hits me about Fountains, I hear the harmony, I hear the intervals I played, and I remember doing that, but she added this incredible sparkling, tinkling sound. I don't know what it was, but to me that captured the sparkling of the light on the water. And that was just so cool to hear that. And then again, it just kind of just continued to grow. So that was my take on the Fountains.
Well, it was really interesting understanding Jill's excitement about what she wanted to have the song represent. And water is one of the most important things on our planet. We need water. And without it, we're going to be in trouble. And that is a real issue even today in current times, fresh water for everyone. And so that led me to write that quote about for all who thirst, because it means much more than just having water to drink. It means that thirsting for everything, knowledge, life, peacefulness, it just is, it's a universal kind of a statement. But I felt strongly enough about Jill's concept for this piece, and I started listening to what she had originally played for the original concept, and it felt like water, but it felt like you were in an outboard motor chopping through waves. You know what I mean, Jill? And I went, no, water needs to be, we have to have it sustained, but we have to have the vibrance. So how do you bring water to life in a recording? That's where I go. I take a sound or a concept or an idea, and I'm like, what makes it wet? What makes it breathe? How do we create the spatial part that allows someone to be immersed in it enough to really be able to visually go there? So if you were to hear it, you could envision, those fountains that they have that are made of cement, and then all of a sudden those water drops start shooting up out of the cement, and you see little children running and laughing and being vibrant, full of life, running through it. Well, I could picture that based on what you had talked about. I went, I need to really spend time, and it took me a long time to do that particular piece in terms of adding the things that I felt would enhance what you had done, but also I needed to rearrange the parts a little bit too to make that happen. And I did it. And I was very, part of me was very fearful. And then part of me was so hopeful. It was a real dichotomy of the scales balancing out. And I said, okay, I'm going to do all this. I'm just going to do it. And then I'm going to send it to Jill and see if she likes it. And then I waited till I had to do that on most of those pieces. And I thought, well, I need to bring it to life. It needs to sound like water. It needs to feel, you need to feel the moisture when you're hearing that song and understand that it's water and it's movement and light and joy and everything at once. So it was fun. It was really fun working on it. And, it was very inspiring, and it was also challenging to create something that would bring that vision to life so much. So I'm glad you liked it, Jill.
Well, it sounds like the two of you were a wonderful collaboration. I mean, that is just so complimentary. And how long were you together recording this?
2 weeks. The first week was a lot of exploration and me doing some initial work on the keyboards in the evening. And then over maybe that after, as we were coming to the completion of the first week, into the second week, we got into laying down some tracks. And then Deborah did her magic after I left. She added all sorts of stuff.
That's fantastic. Well, I think that I'm just going to show it one more time. I'm going to let everyone know that it's at spottedpeccary.com, SPOTTEDPECCARY. Also on Bandcamp, all the platforms, anywhere you can find music. Anyone you want to give a shout out to. I mean, I'm sure that, there are many people who contributed to this wonderful project.
Well, I am going to just hand this over to Deborah, because it's really her team that has brought this all to life. And it was her husband that was very gracious and fed me for 2 weeks and drove us around.
Aren't they the best hosts? I just love them.
They are gracious and just lovely to spend time with. So yeah, as far as a shout out, that's who I'm giving a shout out to. So that's where I'm at with that.
Okay.
I do want to thank Beth. I thank you for believing in our project and really understanding what it was we were trying to achieve as female artists, especially, and doing what we do. It's challenging, but it's so rewarding. And I want to thank Jill, because Jill, I could have done this, but then I wouldn't have the magic of what you did. That's what it's about. We worked together and we created, it was all the inspirations together that created something even more. And so thank you. And then I do want to thank Daniel for the wonderful ideas and artwork. He inspired me to get that little easel thing, and we came up with all kinds of crazy stuff, but he did such a wonderful job on the photographs that Chris took, I took, Jill took photos, but he picked the ones that he wanted to use, and he made them look like oil paintings or watercolors, which is beautiful because that encompassed the artfulness of the whole thing. It fit the theme so beautifully of what we were doing of a pastoral nature. And I want to thank Matthew Stewart. He's one of our Spartan Peccary artists. I've known him for many, many years. He's been on several of my recordings, and he came after the songs were ready, and I had sent Jill some initial things, and he came up and we did mixing, and he did most of the mixing. I sat with him every inch of the way and would say, oh, should we try this? But he's the one that moved the knobs around mostly. I'd say 95%. The other 5% was me going, oh, let me do this one, but he was masterful in it. And then Howard Givens, he took the mixes and he made a few subtle changes, and then he would send it to me to listen to see if I liked what he did. And the first one he sent, I didn't. I actually said, we lost the magic. No, the forest has to come back. I mean, I was literally talking like that with him, but he understood exactly. It's
Right.
such a subtle change, but the magic that he did with that, he understood the sensitivities of the tracks that Jill and I did, and we wanted to savor that and deal with that. And I thank everybody on the Spotted Peccary team, John and Ben and Andrew for sure, who kicked my butt, for the write-up stuff I needed to do. And Jill, I know, helped with that too. She put in her comments and things for the things that we need to do now. But and I want to thank the listeners most of all, because that's what makes it worth it. When you hear music that you find beautiful or inspiring or helps you in some way, that's so important. And we love sharing that. It's a gift, and I think it's a gift for us that you listen to the music, and then we're blessed with the ability to be able to create. So I love that, and I think it all works in one big piece together. And thank you to Fergus the frog, who's sitting back here.
Oh, hi, Fergus.
Fergus has been very patient.
Here's a quick peek close up at the 8 tracks. The Silence of Grace is the lead and title track, of course. And I love Verdant Sanctuary. I mean, that could have been a title track too, right? I mean, that's a beautiful, beautiful title. So why did you choose The Silence of Grace?
I came up with that name, Jill. I think we were talking about how in the silence everything can become clear or something. We were sitting there talking, and I just blurted that out, and you mentioned you really like that title. So I said, well, why don't we just go with that? So we did. I think it was like that.
Yeah, I think it was to do with when we went to the grotto.
Yes.
And verdant sanctuary. Verdant is green, of course. And I just remember walking through these just gorgeous cathedrals of trees, and of course feeling this feeling of grace and peace there. And I think that was right at the beginning of the project when we came up with that general theme of the silence of grace. And that title track, again, what Deborah did with that, she just kind of, it starts out so simple, and then it just kind of just grows, and it just, after this year, I think it's a gift. It's a gift to hear that music.
Yeah.
Oh, well, thank you for all of your gifts and for sharing them with us. And the album is The Silence of Grace with Jill Haley and Deborah Martin. And it's on Spotted Peccary. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you, Beth.
Thank you.